guys, it's Rachel with Living Life Rural, and today I'm going to talk to you about whether or not it is too late to start a garden. Now, I've got green beans to plant. I haven't gotten them planted all yet, so I figured this was as good a time as any to talk to you guys about this while I work in my garden. So let's get started. First of all, what's the answer to the question? Is it too late to start a garden? I'm curious what you guys think. Before you watch the video, I'm curious what your answers would be. But I have an answer. This is my opinion of an answer. So take it for what it's worth. Everybody gets their own opinion. I do not think that it is too late to start. I don't think it is ever too late to start a garden. Well, you're probably like, Rachel, that doesn't make any sense because it's like freezing cold in the winter. Plants aren't going to grow when it's freezing, right? You're right. They're not going to grow when it's freezing outside. But stick with me. I have caveats, but my answer is no. It is never too late to start a garden. It is June 10th, 11th. I don't even know what date it is. It's the first part of June, and I'm just now planting my green beans. Green beans are fairly short season. Most green beans follow bush beans. Whole beans take a little bit longer, but most bush beans, green beans, are like 50 to 60 days to harvest from planting. So in like 2 months from now, I could be harvesting green beans from these seeds that I'm fixing to plant. But yeah, so let's talk about the caveats here. I don't know if I can think and plant, if I can talk and figure out how far apart to space things at the same time. I have tomatoes in this row and tomatoes in this row, and I like to leave a ton of space around my tomatoes because I don't like to be harvesting them and have to be like all up in the plant because I really hate bugs, which I realize is kind of odd for someone who homesteads, farms, etc., gardens, but I just really hate bugs, so I don't like to be in there. So I'm gonna have enough room to put 2 rows of green beans between these tomatoes. So let's talk about our big summer crops, okay? Tomatoes, peppers, pumpkins. I was gonna say okra, but I actually don't know how many days it takes for okra to get to harvest because I don't grow okra. We don't eat it. So any of your long season crops. Is it too late to plant them? Well, that depends upon where you are. You need to know your first average frost date for the fall before you decide what you have time left to plant out in your garden. All right? For instance, my average last frost date, or my average first frost date, is about October 8th. And it is, again, it's like June 10th. So that means I have not quite 4 months left. So I have not quite 120 days left in my growing season. So when it comes to things like tomatoes, you have a lot of tomatoes. Tomatoes have a large range, okay, of days to harvest. You can have some that start like 60 days, 65 days to harvest, and some might be 95 days. And that's to when you can first start picking them. It's not like, okay, in 95 days, I'm going to have 20 pounds of tomatoes off this plant. It doesn't work like that, right? Unless it's a type that sets all of its fruit at once. So if you're like me, and you have roughly 110 days or so left in your growing season, and you have a tomato variety that takes 90 days to harvest, that would only leave you like, what, 2 to 3 weeks to harvest any fruit from that plant. So I don't know about you, but if I'm going to go to all the work of planting tomatoes and watering them all summer long and weeding them all summer long and trying to get that fruit on, I want more than 2 to 3 weeks of harvest from that plant. So at this point in the summer, a tomato variety, or pick your crop, whatever, that's going to have like 90 days left on it, that variety is not going to work well for you. You're not going to get much out of it. Your return on your time and your investment is not going to be very good. But there's other tomato varieties, like I said, that are like 65 days. 4th of July is one. Early Girl, I'm not entirely sure the exact days on an Early Girl, but it's called Early Girl for a reason. It's a shorter growing window. So if you're just now getting out to plant garden and you only have like 100 days left in your growing season, look for those tomatoes, peppers, etc., any of your big crops that you want to put out that have a shorter time to harvest than, say, your big heirloom indeterminate varieties like tomatoes. Some of your peppers can be shorter, some of them are longer. So you just have to really pay attention. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Just really pay attention to your growing days to know whether or not it's too late to put out some of those crops. Okay? So those are your longer season crops. Let's talk about shorter season crops, okay? Things like green beans that I'm planting right now, 50, 60 days, and I'm going to be able to harvest these. Now, I'm actually planting the strike variety of green beans, and the one thing I love about the strike variety of green beans is that they don't set their beans for like weeks on end, okay? They're more of you get one main big harvest off of them. You could get some subsequent harvest from them as well, but I plant green beans to can, and so I like to get all of those at once so I can just can all my green beans and be done with it. So green beans are a really good option. There's a lot of your cool season crops are going to be shorter sometimes, like lettuce and spinach and radishes and beets and stuff like that. The thing you have to watch out for is if you're planting them in the middle of summer, June, July, you're going to have to really pay attention to how well you water them, if they have any shade, things like that. Okay? So, in order to decide whether it's too late or not to plant something, you need to pay attention to what your first average frost date is going to be in the fall. And then you need to count back from there and see where you are, how many days you have left in your growing season, and then start looking at the vegetables or fruits that you want to grow, whether or not they've got enough days. And then you really need to pay attention to the variety and see if you're dealing with one that has too many days to harvest, or if you're looking at like a shorter season option. Is it too late to plant a garden? No. You can also plant a fall garden. A lot of places that you're able to plant a fall garden. Now, realize this. I am in the northern hemisphere, obviously. I'm in southeast Colorado. I'm in zone 6. So this advice specifically isn't going to pertain to like if you live like say in the southern hemisphere or someplace. Just you have to adapt this advice to your location. And I've never gardened in the deep south where it like never freezes, right? So if you're gardening down there, I'm sorry, I don't have advice for you because I don't know how all that works. But um, for a good chunk of the United States, at least, and a lot of other areas, this advice is going to apply. So fall gardens. Okay, let's talk about fall gardens. One thing, actually, there's a lot of things you can grow for a fall garden. Carrots are a wonderful option to grow for a fall garden because most people plant their carrots in the spring because we're always told that carrots are a full season crop, right? I don't know if you guys have that advice very often. I've heard that advice for fun. The thing is, carrots actually need a certain soil temperature to germinate. Like, they don't do well if the soil is still cold. And in the spring, your soil is often still cold. So, if you plant your carrots, for me, I need to plant my carrots about, I don't know, the 1st of August or so to get a nice fall crop of carrots. And in August, excuse me, the soil temperature is really warm. So they're going to germinate a lot faster and a lot more evenly. The only thing is, like with carrots, is you have to make sure that they stay moist and damp so they can germinate. But that's a whole other thing. So yeah, so carrots, great crop to grow in the fall because they can take a light frost, and a light frost actually makes your carrots sweeter. And you can also, people overwinter their carrots in the garden, like they use their garden for cold storage. I have never done that. I want to try it. But just know, some people do that. I don't have any experience in that, but I want to try. Anyway, carrots, good for fall garden. You can do any of your other cool season crops, like spinach and stuff like that. You can succession plant green beans all summer long, your potatoes all summer long, any of your shorter length growing season crops. You can plant them all summer long as you're able to care for them in the heat and the sun. So, can you grow? Is it too late to start a garden? No, it's not. But what if you're seeing this video and it is October and you live where I live? You can't just go out to your garden and plant tomatoes, right? They're gonna die. That's not gonna work. But there are ways to extend your growing season. You can do row covers. That's a big one. For us, usually when it starts freezing, it's kind of sporadic. And if you used row covers for, I don't know, like another month, you could get like a whole other month out of the growing season probably. If you have the space and the opportunity and the want to and the budget, you can put up a greenhouse and you can grow things all year round in a greenhouse. And if you don't have the option to grow outside when it is way too cold, you can always grow in your house. And I know that's something that like a lot of people don't do or don't think about, but you can always literally grow something in your house. You can grow herbs on the windowsill. You can grow lettuce on the windowsill. As long as you have a window that's sunny and the temperature of your house is warm enough to support the vegetable growing, um, you can grow this in your house, even if you might have to add a grow light for a few hours a day to supplement that natural light. The problem with growing things over winter time is that your day length is short, and some vegetables need a little extra light time than what you would get like in January or something. Okay? So yeah, so you can always grow inside your house. You can always get something like an arrow garden, or by this point there's so many off brands of an arrow garden. It doesn't take a ton of money to invest in a product like that. Um, yeah, you can grow vegetables on your countertop. There's even cherry tomato varieties that you can grow in an arrow garden, like the top hat variety. Um, you could have fresh tomatoes in January if you wanted to. So I know this video is getting kind of long, and I still don't have my green beans planted. Apparently I can't multitask very well in the garden. But is it too late to start a garden? No. It is never too late to start a garden. You can always grow something somewhere. But if you're wanting to grow outside in an outside garden during the summertime, you need to pay attention to when your first average frost date is, the day length or the growing length of time for the fruits or vegetables that you want to grow, and you need to pay attention on whether or not you have enough time to get those plants to harvest. So I hope that helps answer your question. I see that question all over Facebook groups and around this time of year. Everybody's always asking, is it too late to plant X, Y, or Z? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. Like with anything in life, there's rarely like a hard and fast rule for gardening. But let me know if you decide to try something crazy this summer. I'm gonna grow, like I said, I'm gonna grow fall carrots this summer, or later this summer, this fall. So we'll see how those do. And yeah, if you have questions, drop them below. Always happy to answer them. And if you're trying to figure out when your frost dates are and how long you need to grow something and when you should plant something or start something inside to like grow a fall garden, I have a planting planner. I created it myself. It's not just like some AI answer, okay? I researched all of the plants that are inside this planting planner, and I added all the damn data myself. And um, yeah, it's there. You can plug in. There's a link to go to Dave's Garden website that's been the most accurate for me to check my first and last frost dates. Apparently, I can't talk either. So you can find that out. Pop those dates in the calculator. Decide what you want to try to plant. Decide if you want information on a fall garden, and it's gonna give you all that information about when you should start them inside, whether it should be direct sown or started from seed, and when to start and plant things for a fall garden. So yeah, I hope this video helps, and I will see you in the next one.